Call to order and roll call.
Okay. Commissioner DeVries?
Here.
Commissioner Frederickson?
Here.
Commissioner Goss?
Here.
Commissioner Hunsaker is not here yet. Commissioner Key?
Here.
Commissioner McCoy?
Here.
Commissioner Shores?
Here.
We've got a quorum.
Pledge of allegiance. We all stand up and. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes of February 13th, 2017.
I motion to approve. Second.
All right, there's a motion been made and a motion been seconded. Any further discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
All against? All right, item number 2, call to the public. Comments from the public. Those wishing to address the commission should fill out request forms in advance. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for consideration and decision at a later time. Comments from the public will be restricted to items not on the agenda. There will be no comments allowed that advertise for a particular person or group. Comment should be limited to no longer than 3 minutes. Any comment from the public? All righty, pass council action. Richard?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. There was one item that went before the City Council earlier this month. This is for the mini storages on Andy Devine off of Horizon Boulevard, and that item was approved by the council.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Old business, there is no old business. Number 5, new business. A conditional use permit case CUP 18-0002. A request from Manuel Salazar, applicant and Rise Services Incorporated, property owner, for a conditional use permit for a day program from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday, for individuals with disabilities within an existing residence. The subject site is zoned R2, residential multiple family, low density, and is located at 3996 Lindsay Avenue. The property is 0.35 acres and is described as lots 15-17, Block 1, Silver Ridge Subdivision, Track 1924-A.
Good evening again. This is a conditional use permit request for a day program for individuals with disabilities. It's at 3396 Lindsay Avenue. The property owner is Rise Services, and the applicant is Manuel Salazar. They would like to do a conditional use permit for a day program from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday for individuals with disabilities within an existing residence at 3996 Lindsay Avenue. Property is approximately 1/3 of an acre. It's zoned R2, residential multiple family, low density. It is an existing approximately 2,800 square foot residence on the property that was constructed in 1998. This has been an assisted living home for disabled individuals for about 15 years or more. Physical characteristics is a developed subdivision. It's generally flat in the area. There's a slight slope to the southeast. It lies between the floodplain and the 500-year floodplain. The site is already served by public utilities, water and sewer. They're located in Lindsay Avenue. It is accessed also from Lindsay Avenue, which is a local street with a 50-foot wide right-of-way and a cul-de-sac bulb. Street is paved with curb gutter and sidewalk. This is the location, just to kind of orient you. Gordon Drive is to the north. There's no access to this property from Gordon. It's all from Lindsay. Western is to the west of the property. There's some mini storages to the east and to the north. Stockton Hill Road is to the east. And this shows the surrounding zoning. The property is zoned R2, as I mentioned. C3 is to the east and north. R16 is to the south, and R18 is to the west of Western Avenue. It's all mostly a developed residential area. We posted the site February 22nd. We published a notice in the paper. We sent notices to all property owners within 150 feet of the property. And we did receive 2 comments from the public in the area, both in favor of the CUP request. There were no objections from any departments or agencies that we received. So just to kind of sum up the proposal, Rise Services is looking to get a CUP for a day program at this location. The residence is presently being used as a group home, which is a permitted use in the R2 district. The use of the residence for a day program which would be similar to the operation of a tutorial school would require a CUP, so that's why they're going through the CUP process. If it is approved, the location will cease being used as a residential group home and instead will just be used for the day program. The location has been approved by the state for up to 29 individuals. 1 staff member will be on site for every 4 disabled persons. The staff will arrive as early as 6 a.m. to start transportation of those individuals to the site, and it will leave the location as late as 5 p.m. It'll be generally unused on the weekends. So under the CUPs, we are required to make findings for a number of items. The property itself is designated as medium-density residential within our general plan. The R2 zoning and its uses and the uses allowed by CUP are compatible with that designation. Appears to meet all the bulk regulations, including the appearance criteria for the residents. The conversion of the facility for day use only would not appear to have a significant impact on the character of the area or to adversely impact the surrounding area. There is a large circular driveway on the property as well as another driveway on the site. It seems to be sufficient to park vehicles that are associated with the use. Residents are currently transported from the site to other locations to attend day programs and return in the evening, and that pattern would be reversed with this CUP. They would be brought to the site and then taken from the site in the afternoon. So we don't think there'd be really any significant increase in traffic, just a sort of reverse of the pattern. Landscaping and fencing, the property is already landscaped. There is fencing around all sides except in the front. Doesn't appear that any additional fencing or landscaping will be required, and it doesn't appear that this proposal would create a nuisance to the area. So staff is prepared to recommend approval of the CUP request as they have requested it, without any particular conditions other than what they're being proposed for a day program from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So with that, I'll try to answer any questions you have, and we have the applicants here this evening too.
I have a question. Is there enough parking to handle the staff? Didn't you say there was 1 staff member per 4?
So you can see the property. There's a large concrete area to the left. There's the circular driveway, and then there's also another concrete driveway to the
Wondering if that's what
right side of the picture there.
in between.
So it does appear that there is plenty of room to park on the site. The day I went to the site to post, it looked like there were about 3 or 4 vehicles on the property, and there's 1 or 2 in the street. There's no restrictions to parking on the street in this area, other than they can't block any driveways. They may be able to answer that question a little more definite than I would be able to. I'm not sure exactly how many vehicles they have in association with this use.
Yeah, I would be interested in to know how many vehicles the parking would hold off the street.
Right.
Yeah, only because it's in a cul-de-sac, and if they start parking in the street, it could block the other, houses and create some sort of a nuisance.
Yeah, I'm with Terry on that one, Rich. That was the only question I had. I know what the traffic pattern says inside here, but it was around if there was a parking change anticipated from it. Driving by the area, it seemed like there is adequate there, but I just didn't have a feel for on the particular use, if that involves people, I'm assuming it's not people driving themselves parked there and being there during the day. Probably not, but that was the only question I had.
Yeah, I'll allow them to answer that
absolutely.
question. Okay.
I'll address that now, I guess.
Sure.
Hopefully this will help you guys. I'm Manuel Salazar. I'm the Executive Director for RISE in the state of Arizona, and I drove up here from Phoenix today to have this meeting, so thank you all for having us here. That property there that you see is one of the properties that we own on that street. The property directly to the right of that photo is another duplex where the members that live in that duplex will come here during the day. So we have parking lots there too that we can use for our staff. So that should alleviate any issues with any additional parking, is that we have access to that parking as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question too. So what about, I had a question, like you have you could have like 25, how many RISE, the patients or whatever,
We only run about 20.
what will the daycare, 20?
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, will that, like, with people, will they be picking them up, like family members be picking them up and dropping them off, or how will that
Well,
work?
like the white van you see in the photo, we have a few of those, and they basically go and pick folks up and bring them to the property. So we don't have a whole lot of traffic. You'll get a couple people that their family members bring them in, but typically we go out and pick them up and bring them. So you won't see a lot of vehicles there that are not ours. Yeah, we keep the traffic down pretty well.
It's not to characterize it as a shuttle, but it's a shuttle that you employ and you control and run.
It's basically like, it's not a shuttle, but yes, we are licensed by the state to provide transportation. We're funded by the state to provide transportation for people with disabilities to and from their residence to our day program.
I have another question. Why did you pick this facility?
We own it. We own that property and the property next door, and we actually own another house in the community. So a lot of our residents already live in that exact square block area. We do go outside out to Golden Valley for a couple folks, but a lot of our core residents already live in that neighborhood, so they're basically staying in their neighborhood. And we're not leaving and causing a lot of congestion outside the community with our transportation requirements. They actually walk right now from another house to their house, and so it works out really well for us and them.
And in the
Pretty safe.
future, are you planning on extending your time from, to the evenings or anything? Or is it just gonna be this day program for the disabled?
It's just gonna be the day program. I know that the cities typically ask us to run children's programs for after-school programs, but we're not interested in that right now, and I don't see that happening in Kingman right now. So, no, it's gonna be basically those hours, so, which makes it really great on the weekends, because we don't take up any space on the weekends, which I know in my neighborhood, I would love that if we had less folks parking on my street. But, so there's no activity in the evenings. It's just gonna be an empty house, other than those hours that we listed.
I had one more question. Just was wondering, because I have clients that live in the area right there, and first of all, the RISE does have a really good reputation, and I know that. But I was just wondering, like, what would happen if the residents did complain because people were parking? I don't know the outcome. What happens if you get the CUP and then residents start complaining about parking, hypothetically?
Well, and like I said, I have another house in that community, so if it became an issue, which I do not see that happening at all, we're very aware of where we operate our businesses in, so we try to not make any waves where we're at. And so if someone's not happy with what we're doing, then we make adjustments accordingly, and I do have a house down the street that we can also utilize. So I have resources that we can pull from to alleviate that, and we can bring more people in. So the last thing we want to do is upset the residents. I think we work really well with the communities that we engage in. We're a nonprofit that's community-minded. We give back all the time, so we don't want to cause anybody any problems. We just want to have a little bit bigger space, because where they're at now is probably 2/3 that size, and so we just want them to have more room to have a better experience.
So between the two facilities, roughly how many parking spaces would you guesstimate?
Well, You can't
you
really
wanna-
tell there, but
I know.
where that white car is, that's a really long driveway, and there's a garage there, so we can even use the garage. There's garages on both sides, so I could probably park I wouldn't have that many, but
Right.
6, 7, 8, 9. I could probably park 9 cars on that
On that
property.
one
It's
there.
a big lot.
Yeah.
And there's a big gravel thing that, on the other side that, not that we would park in it, but, and then on our other properties, we have 2-car garage on each property right next door, so I could park another 4 cars over there, so, but it's never gonna be that.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any other comments from the public? No? All right, any discussion amongst us?
I think it doesn't seem too dissimilar from what they're running already. What they pointed out is it's in reverse, and so I feel like it's not that big of a change.
I don't have any objections.
Make a motion. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second has been made. Is there any other further discussions amongst us on the topic? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, before I go on to the rezoning case B, Mr. Daniel Atha, I think you might have wanted to probably speak during the public comment. I'll give you your chance now to come up and,
Thank you very much. Good project, by the way. I might be there in a few years, so. I live on 3565 Hodges Road, and I moved there, moved in the house December 11th, come down from Washington, and I talked to people downstairs, engineers and planners, and I went over to the fire department, talked to people over there about what I can do with my property. And so anyway, I had a little bit of dirt hauled in, leveled out to build a shop. And I'm getting permits right now. But one problem I'm having, nobody seems to know what the setbacks are from the sides and the ends. It goes from 6 feet to 10 feet. One even said 25. And then if you go into residential downtown here, in the city here, there's new homes that are being built. I have a friend that has a house there. Yeah, he can't even put a shop because you're supposed to be, 5 foot from the wall, one wall, 5 foot from the back, and 6 foot from his house. He has no place to build a shed. So what I'm getting at, we're doing these things and nobody knows, you get different answers from everybody how much the setback is. And actually, I think where I'm at is rural residential. And if I read that, then the numbers are even bigger, but I don't know. So I talked to downstairs and they said for my property, it's 6 foot on the sides and 4 foot from the back. And so I'm putting some connexes in, and I sold one to a friend of mine just down the road, his name Art Soaring Eagle, and they've already given him a notice he has to remove it. Well, the problem is everybody in town, they're all over the place, and so if they're gonna make rules, even the attorney, the city attorney, his daughter has a horse ring right there off Hodges where she trains horses. He even has a connex, so, and I could probably count 5 or 6 in that area, and they're not covered up. Now they're telling me I have to cover it up, which I plan on putting 2 connexes in and 40 footers and putting a top over it and sides on it, stucco on it, making it look like my house. I don't want something to look ugly. And then another thing, they complain about these connexes being so bad. When you see sheds and buildings that are falling down, you get a connex, it's there forever, you know. Maybe make some rules that they can put something on the sides and cover them up, make them look acceptable for the community. And there's, you know, I know the county has their things. I think she works for the county, don't you, Terry?
Yes, I do.
So I know the county has their thing and the city has their thing. I'm just now retired, I'm 67. Maybe I'll get into doing what you guys are doing. I think I'd really enjoy it. But maybe you can talk to the county, and before you annex more property in, get them to convert to your way of thinking on these connexes. when they move them in. I don't know if that would work, but maybe that would help a lot of problems of grandfathering things into the city. I don't know if that'd help or not. And that's about all I have to say, you know. You guys know a lot more about this than I do. So.
I would like to.
What's that?
I would like to respond. You know, if you, for the sea containers and stuff, you know, if you want to change any kind of ruling or anything like with the county to, you know, you have to go in front of the board.
Okay.
You know, and, you know, make your recommendation. And as far as, you know, the city, we've already made a ruling on this. And, you know, I don't know exactly, I'm not real familiar with the area that you're in.
It's up behind the hospital, 1 acre lots. It's in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's in here.
So you have enough room on your property, you know, to put this,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And you referred to your neighbor, well, maybe your neighbor, maybe he doesn't have the same property, maybe he's on a corner. Maybe there's different variances, you know, that, you know, why.
They said it
you
looked
have to
ugly and you
remove-
can't put it there.
Well,
But it's still all up in the air. Everything's up in the air. Nobody, I mean, you can, like I said, you can talk to the planning and zone, the engineers, and they say 6 foot. So I don't, does anybody know what it is right now? So I can move my,
Richard, would you be able to help in this matter?
This is the public comment. No, it's not. It's a public comment period, but we would be happy to work with the gentleman if you'd like to stop by our office tomorrow or something, and we'd be happy to help him with the setback information. But just generally speaking, setbacks vary depending on the underlying zoning of the property. That's why it's different in different locations, so. But we would be able to give him a definitive answer on that.
yeah, that would be my
My apologies.
recommendation.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, item B.
Thank you, sir.
Item B, rezoning case RZ 18-0001. Request from Mojave County applicant and property owner for the rezoning of certain property from 0 recreational open space to C3 commercial service business. The rezoning is requested to bring the property into conformance with the zoning surrounding the site. The subject property is a Catherine Hendrick Senior Center located at 1776 Airway Avenue. The property is 3.288 acres and further described as a portion of Government Lot 3, shown as Parcel 3A on RS 7-68 9/10/1991. Go on, Sylvia.
Good evening. Okay, so we do have the applicant present for this rezone item, which is actually or if you have any questions for him. As you said, this is a request to rezone from O recreational open space to commercial or C3 commercial service business. This is more or less like a housekeeping item, actually. The rezoning is requested to bring the property into conformance with the zoning surrounding the site. The subject property is Catherine Heidenreich Senior Center located at 1776 Airway Avenue. Here's a picture of the property, which is pretty much this whole site here. And then here's a zoomed out photo showing here's the site here, and then this is where the Walmart is, and Smith's, and some of the commercial properties surrounding the area. The size of the property is 3.28 acres. Existing zoning is O, open space. The general plan land use designation is public, quasi-public. Surrounding property is zone C3, commercial service business. The area is mostly developed with commercial buildings and a few scattered vacant lots. This includes Walmart to the southwest, the Mojave Wash and Arc to the east, a dentist's office, and vacant property to the north across Airway Avenue. The site is served with water and sewer. The site is accessed from Airway Avenue. The property contains 4 separate buildings which house the Catherine Heidenreich Senior Center, Mojave County Meals on Wheels program, and a thrift store and a meeting room. Here's a zoning map of the area. This is the property right here. As you can see, it's kind of a little remnant open space parcel. Just for, so you know, this is where the park is, Centennial Park, and then mostly around the site is C3. commercial. Oops. The subject property was annexed into the city of Kingman on November 8, 1971, and we applied the O zoning. According to the Mojave County Assessor's site, there was 11,832 square foot of the existing building was constructed in 1981. And then in 1991, an 1188 square foot office building was added to the site. A conditional use permit was approved in 2003, CUP 0306, to allow the development of a nonprofit community victims shelter known as Sarah's House. In 2007, a 3,697 square foot building was added to the site for the shelter, which is now an office building. Total buildings on site is equal to 16,717 square feet. So the site was posted, a public notice was published in the paper, surrounding property owners were noticed, and no public comments were received at the time of the staff report, nor from other reviewing agencies. Just a quick review then, in summary. So this is a request from Mojave County to rezone the property from recreational open space to commercial service business. The rezoning is requested to bring the property into conformance with the zoning of the surrounding site. Several properties in the areas have already been zoned commercial service business, and this is like a remnant piece. The existing uses of the property do conform to the C3 zoning district, and the rezoning conforms to the general plan land use designation. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning of the subject site from C3 to, and this recommendation is based on the goals and objectives of the Kingman general plan. Standards of review, findings of fact, and analysis. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Any comment from the public? Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. In 81 and 91, I was on the board of directors for the center, and the little bitty building in the back I built, and then I was in charge of the construction for the large portion on the east end. And I haven't been part of this program in the last 20 years, so I just want to put that out there so everybody knows. I don't have a conflict as far as I'm concerned, and I won't discuss it if you think that I do.
I don't see a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was actually on this one, and probably I don't. This is probably as clear cut and open shut as one that I've seen, at least thus far, from the standpoint of simple ones.
Yeah.
And anyone else has any comments, I would be make a motion to accept recommendation from staff.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second's been made. Is there any other further discussion amongst us?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
All against? Thank you, Sylvia. Item C, zoning ordinance text amendment case 0Z018-0003. A city-initiated request for a text amendment to section 26.000 General Development Standards of the zoning ordinance of the city of Kingman. The request is to amend subsection 26.810, item 1, to remove the vinyl-coated polyester and landscaping fabric from the list of allowable screening materials for permitted outside storage areas.
Okay, here we are, screening materials for outside storage. So this is a little refresher, little review from last time, so you probably have this down pretty good. Try to narrow it a little bit. Okay, so at the previous meeting, I presented a discussion item related to the allowable screening materials for outside storage in the city of Kingman. So the discussion was brought forth due to the commission's concern over the allowable use of landscaping fabric as a screening material of outside storage. Landscaping material is currently allowed to be used as screening of outside storage in C3, commercial service business, light industry, and heavy industry zoning districts. Allowable screening materials include chain link fencing with metal slats, masonry walls, stucco fences, redwood cedar board fencing, painted corrugated metal, and vinyl PVC products made specifically for fencing, and vinyl-coated polyester with a minimum opacity rating of 75%, and in parentheses, landscaping fabric. We did a little research of other local jurisdictions and see what they allow for screening materials. We found that landscaping materials not allowed by other jurisdictions, and the most common materials allowed were wood, brick, masonry, and stone. At the February Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission voted to move forward with the text amendment to section 26810 of the zoning ordinance to remove vinyl-coated polyester with a minimum opacity rating of 75%, the landscaping fabric, and staff recommends removing landscaping material from section 26.810 of the zoning ordinance. I did leave a little slide in there showing what that was exactly. Staff is recommending approval of the text amendment language contained in the attachment A. And if you have any questions for me, I'm here.
First of all, thank you, Sylvia, for your work on this.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Sylvia? Thank you, Sylvia. Any comments or questions from the public? Any discussion amongst staff here, commissions?
I think it can only be helpful for Kingman.
Yeah, exactly.
It needs to be removed.
No, I think we spent a good bit of time last time discussing this to arrive at this particular juncture, so I think somebody's just put together for us exactly what we discussed last time, so.
Yep.
Haven't seen anything in the last 28, 30 days that's changed the opinion on the subject.
I'll make a recommendation to approve this. A motion, I'll make a motion to approve it.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
I have motion's been made and a motion's been seconded. Is there any further discussion amongst those commission members?
No.
May I ask an all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yes. All right, item number 6, commissioners' comments, limited to announcements, availability, attendance at conferences and seminars, requests for agenda items for future meetings, and requests for reports from staff.
I have one question about tiny houses. Are we going to continue workshop type meetings for that, or how is that going to work exactly?
Commissioner, actually what we're going to do is, we had a meeting, a workshop just this past week on the tiny homes, as you know, and staff is compiling some of the information we got and the feedback from that meeting, and we'll be presenting it at the April Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Thank you.
And then from there,
We'll
I'll
see what goes.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
follow your lead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I did. I'm assuming we all got the City of Kingman invite for
Yep.
the town manager. So the only reason I wanted to comment on this is I apologize for missing the town tiny house one. I really want to attend that too, but I was out of town on business, and now I'm going to miss this one for being out of town on business. But there's a candidate in there from St. John, Indiana. I don't know him at all, but the only comment I had for it is actually we just moved here from St. John, Indiana. So if any of you do attend that, I would encourage to ask him, right? Yes, him. I would encourage to ask him about that town, because that town, it's an older community, had an established older profile, and then it went through a pretty heavy growth period over the last 10 or 15 years. A lot of what we discuss among this group here around parks and green space and family and subdivisions things, St. John went through all that over the last 15, 20 years. So I don't know if he's involved with that at all, or management, but I would just encourage those of you that have interest in those things. He potentially would have some good stories around that subject, and if I was able to attend, I would ask those questions myself, of those particular ones. And then for staff, so the other thing that came up when we had our city joint commission meeting downtown at the church, there were a couple places around there where there was some razor wire on top of fencing, and I know that's probably different areas of the city for security and things, but I'm also curious, we had a little sidebar discussion on that subject, if you could take a look at where do we allow that type of medium, and my comment for it is just that, you know, if you're coming in town on 66 and you're thinking about stopping for a place to eat, and you look and see razor wire, I'd probably keep on driving. I was, oh, well, that's probably not, if they got razor wire in there, it's probably not the place to stop and eat. And that's right there, in some cases, by Beal, you know, and I'm not sure that, anyway, I don't want to get to overreach or anything, but I'm curious on areas where we allow that.
Storage.
And
They jump the fences and break.
I'm sure there's reasons. I'm just curious, make sure it's the right application, so I was just curious if you. Yeah, that'd be great, I'd appreciate that, so.
Any other questions? Well, may I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a second. Second. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much.
You.
I sent a text at 5:25 to Center, I couldn't get through 66.